Select widget.
Hello, welcome to Insight. Today on Insight, Ambassador Mulu Solomon Buzunakh. Ambassador Mulu is the current ambassador, Ethiopian ambassador to the Federal Republic of Germany, Czech Republic, Republic of Poland, and Republic of Slovak. Welcome, Ambassador.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, let's start by a brief description of your job assignment in Germany and the other countries.
All right. Do you want me just to brief you what we are doing, you mean?
Yes. What do the embassy do in the countries you are responsible for?
Okay, actually, as I'm an ambassador, extraordinary and plenipotentiary of Democratic Republic of Ethiopia to Federal Republic of Germany, Poland, Slovak Republic, Czech Republic, and Ukraine. Actually, my accreditation to Poland and Ukraine is postponed because of COVID, but I'm accredited in the other three. And we are dealing with political diplomacy, public diplomacy, diaspora diplomacy, and citizen diplomacy, and also with economic and business diplomacy. That's what we are doing in all of the countries. Currently, we are very much engaged with the Ethiopian current situation, especially of Tigray region of Ethiopia, and all issues that the government is trying to handle the problems, and also trying to explain to our partners in Germany and Slovak, and also in all of them, be it in Czech Republic, Slovak Republic, and Poland also, or to the government officials, which are especially Ministry of Foreign Office, and also to the parliamentarians, think tanks, and also journalists. We are trying to explain the Ethiopian situation so that they understand the reality on the ground. That's what we do. And in due course, when you ask me, I can explain what we have been doing.
Well, that's good. Let's start with the background of what's going on in northern part of Ethiopia and Tigray. What happened? How did the come out?
All right. Actually, the situation was, as you know, before 2018, there was a great protest of Ethiopian people because they were very much tired of the TPLF leadership. That means there was a Ethiopian Democratic Front, which is a coalition government of TPLF and other three. But because at the top it was TPLF leading the country dominantly, because of the suppression and also marginalization, corruption, and extreme and excessive cruel human rights abuse. All Ethiopian people were protesting. The country was flooded with great protests throughout the country throughout the years. Then the TPLF dominant leadership was forced to change the leadership. Because of that, the current reformist government, which is led by Dr. Abiy Ahmed, came to power through the democratic election, where the TPLF itself was part of the election, and there was three candidates where Dr. Abiy won. Then it came to power. After this, after April 2018, when the reformist government led by Dr. Abiy Ahmed came to power, there was no as such plan that they were going to do, but there was a speech which was done by the Prime Minister, Dr. Abiy Ahmed. According to that, the reformist government was doing very extraordinary, great change for the country. If I mention, journalists which was in prison were released. Political leaders which was in exile were invited to come and compete freely and fairly. Even those with armament were allowed to come in and also compete freely or contest freely. And not only that, so many land-breaking changes were done. For example, very laws which were very suppressive were revoked, Example for that is that terrorist law and also civil society law was revoked and improved. And also a lot of changes like democratic changes, giving chance to women was done because Dr. Abiy elected more 50% of women to be in the position of ministers, and also high-level posts of the government was covered by women. For example, the president of High Court is a woman, and the president of the country is a woman. This was really exemplary to the world. Not only that, there was a great change on the economic reform, political reform, social reform. But unfortunately, the TPLF was unhappy because they lost the higher position, and they were not simply seeing. After they left this big position, they were leading in Tigray, of course, but they were completely disappointed, especially when the front, which was Ethiopian People's Democratic Front, which TPLF was part of it. Finally, when they decided to dissolve their parties, the coalition party was dissolved. Then they started to form Prosperity Party willingly. The TPLF, partly some of them joined, some of them didn't join. Those who are not willing to join the Prosperity Party left and they stay in Tigray. Finally, when the COVID tested the country, when COVID tested the country, tested the world, of course, and the country was in problem because of COVID. When it was not possible for the electoral board to make free and fair election, it was postponed according to the law, getting permission with the House of Federation. But unfortunately, TPLF didn't accept that, and they said they are not recognizing the federal government after the term is finished. And they also officially announced that to create a transitional government, and also they stopped obeying to the constitution. They went and make election in their region, and also they created hand-picked electoral board, and they make election, which they say TPLF assumed 100% of the seats. The issue is in the constitution is only allowed to make election regionally or federally through the Ethiopian Electoral Board. It's not allowed. That's illegal. That's why the House of Federation makes their election null and void, and also redirected the budget of the region to the lower level of administration so that the people cannot be affected because of lack of budget. But the TPLF was using the budget and also the humanitarian assistance which was sent to the region for their own purpose, not for the people. That was the other problem. While they were doing so many criminal acts the whole year, 2 years, more than 2 years, they, according to the intelligence, they were planning, financing, and implementing violence and also conflict, be it religious, ethnic, in cooperation with OLF Shani. They have killed more than 1,500 people in 1 year. A lot of killings throughout the country except Tigray, a lot of human rights abuse, a lot of conflict. Not only that, destruction of investment plans, destruction of infrastructures, destruction of schools and health sectors. They have done a lot, but the government was so tolerant. The Ethiopian people were tolerant, even initially why things were to go peacefully without accusing TPLF was for the peace of the country. But having all that, they didn't take it. They take it for granted, and they continue creating conflict, creating violence in the country, making the country unstable, and the peace concerns. For example, Mother's Peace Group went to Tigray. Religious groups went to Tigray. Those who are concerned for the peace went to Tigray and almost begged them to come and talk to sit down and talk peacefully. But they were totally ignorant and they didn't want it. They reject the whole offer given to them. But where the red line was crossed is when they attacked the National Defense Forces on November 4, when they were sleeping. They killed especially non-Tigrayans. The National Defense Forces were more than 20 years in Tigray, helping the Tigray people. They are married, very much connected, They were helping them harvesting their crops. They were helping them building schools from their own salary, contributing from their own salary. They were helping them while they were defending, they're trying to avoid locusts. They have been doing a lot. They are their children, they are their family, but very cruel attack and killing happened to our national defense forces. They were so cruel, and it's inhuman what was happened to them. This is destabilizing the country and also affecting the country's sovereignty, and the government was forced to go into law enforcement operation. That's why it was not prepared, but it was the government was its mandate, a must to save the country and to save the country's sovereignty, to bring the country into peace. TPLF ignored the peace condition and our togetherness, our as a society. We want our unity and togetherness, but they ignored everything. They ignored all the peace offers. That's what they did. Finally, the law enforcement operation was concluded peacefully and successfully. But when TPLF left, they destroyed all critical infrastructure. For example, airport, roads, telecommunication, and power stations, internet, bank, police stations, what have you, and they destroy everything, even health stations. But the National Defense Force was very careful not to cause civilian casualties, because when they were hiding in the schools, in the church, they were careful. That's why even the operation take a bit of days instead of short days. But what happened is, when they escape, they have destroyed a lot of things. The government was really suffering day and night to build this and try to reach the humanitarian assistance.
So let me just go back. I want to take some of the points you raised. First, I want to visit the postponement of the elections. I think the West seems to buy into the postponement of elections as unconstitutional. Was the election postponed through a constitutional means? Who has the authority to interpret the constitution in Ethiopia?
Actually, this was very constitutional. It was a House of Federation, according to the Constitution, to interpret the law. When there is an opening of the law, the interpretation right is a right of House of Federation. And it was through due process that they go through it and decided that they should be postponed for unlimited time, because when COVID was to be finished, or when to conclude COVID, we don't know when. Even today, nobody knows when we are going to be free out of COVID. But until the time is possible to make election, it was postponed for unlimited time. And it's completely legal and constitutional. They have to check and see our constitution.
So the House of Federation has representatives from every ethnic group, including Tigray. And what you're telling us is everybody agreed for the postponement of the election except TPLF.
Yeah, actually, all the Tigray people, their representatives themselves was there. It's only TPLF junta who didn't agree with this. And that's why they even claim to come to create a temporary transitional government, because they are not happy to leave the highest post peacefully and give turn for others.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing
anybody who have a doubt can come and see our constitution, that it was very legal and constitutional, actually.
Mm-hmm. The other thing I want you to a little bit explain is, as you said, there was a mediation effort by women's mothers groups, by religious groups, and even by the International Crisis Group. But TPLF came up with a precondition, transitional government, which is unconstitutional, and release of suspects in prisons, and also the election cannot be held with the current government. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, as I told you, who makes all the criminal action, all the criminal act is TPLF. After the days of the renowned singer or artist Hachalu Hundessa, where there was a big protest and so many destruction or killings happened in the society. Some people were in prison. And they were asking that some prisoners have to be released, and they put unnecessary preconditions, which was not legal. Actually, nobody is above law. Those who are in prison, whether they are from Prosperity Party or any other contestants, they wait for the judgment of the justice. They wait for the court. Nobody is above law. And the issues they raised was unconstitutional, because they tried to establish federalist group, and even that was dissolved by itself. Most of them are not operating well. They created a lot of constitutions to challenge the government, which is not actually legal, which is not actually their mandate. But because they were not happy leaving the post, they are doing this because they want to destabilize and destroy the country. Their attitude is to destroy the country. As far as they are not on the higher position of the political post, they don't care if the country is dismantled or destroyed. And we see they have allies from outside, inside. It's not only that minimum. If the government was not controlling their attack, this could have been a problem even to go around the neighboring countries, and it would have been a serious problem for the region itself. I can't hear you. Are you muted? I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay. Going back to November 3rd and November 4th, as you said, the TPLF admitted that it attacked the Northern Command, which is part of the national defense. What do the people you meet with, non-Ethiopians, in Germany, in Poland, in Czech Republic, say that when a defense force is being attacked, wouldn't they admit that a sovereign state has a responsibility to protect its forces?
Yeah, actually, some are confused, but some are having clear understanding. But some think that it is the Ethiopian government attacked the National Defense Force. Some of them tell us how a Nobel Prize winner go into war. Actually, the duty of whether he's a Nobel Prize winner or a Nobel Prize loser, if it's a PM and in charge of National Defense Forces, it's the responsibility of the Prime Minister, according to the Constitution, to save the country, to protect the country, to keep the country's sovereignty. But some of them complain as if government go and attack the Tigray. They also do not understand that TPLF and the Tigray people are different. Some of them do not understand. We 101 times try to explain Tigray people are Ethiopian people. The Ethiopian government care for Tigray people because Tigrayans are Ethiopians. All Ethiopian people are similar and the same with the same right and equality. They have to be protected. TPLF is not Tigray people. It says that it is a Tigray People Liberation Front. Even for 27 years, more than 27 years, it calls itself Tigray Liberation Front. Even while it was leading from the top, it says Tigray Liberation Front. We don't know from whom they are liberating Tigray, where they are the leaders. And even when we explain to most of them, some of them understand and change their mind. But some of them still say the government started attacking the Tigray. But it's not true. We explain now and then, even to the journalists, to the think tank, to the parliamentarians, to the government officials. We try to explain. Some of them are aware about how the Tigrayans start attacking, not only attacking, taking the largest depot of the government of military ammunition, and they also boasted by their media and social media that they have all the great equipment or military ammunition that they can destroy Addis Ababa, they can destroy Eritrea, even they have sent missile to Eritrea, to other regions of Ethiopia. It's clear. And they said they can destroy, and they want to force the government to do what they want to do by force. That was really not only a simple conflict. It was an attempt of destroying the country itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, beyond the country.
Go ahead. Finish.
Beyond the country, it wouldn't have ended in Ethiopia. It would have gone to the neighboring countries the way they try. It looks like it would have made the region actually the hotspot of terrorism if the government wouldn't have managed to handle this on time.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like as days progress, the situation in Europe seems to be changing. It's no more walking lockstep with the TPLF. The Ethiopian narrative seems to be taking hold. And recently the EU Council had an encouraging communique. Can you talk about that?
Okay, actually that was also now and then going around because since they are going to put it on consensus basis, when the draft goes around, it was sometimes even worse than what came out finally. We try to explain our position because it was so, even when you see, I believe even this statement wouldn't have come out because the Ethiopian government was doing its level-based. It's the TPLF who destroyed all the infrastructure, who killed all these people, even killed in the Maikadra more than 600 people, the Amhara people, which were innocent, which was purely civilian. And again, the killers went to Sudan, and they are the one who give interview to Amnesty International and other investigators. No one is condemning. Actually, Amnesty International and Ethiopian Human Rights Commission have talked about this issue clearly. But even having this information, I haven't heard them condemning all this. They are not condemning anyone who is doing the wrong thing, but its pressure is only on Ethiopian government. Even when they are talking about the humanitarian access, while the TPLF destroyed all the infrastructure, the government to destroy it takes only half a day or a day, but to build it takes time. But they were expecting the government to do everything overnight. The government was building all the destroyed infrastructure, road, telecommunication, what have you, light, and try to deliver the humanitarian assistance. That should have been appreciated actually. But all the blame, even when the TPLF escape, some are now captured, some have given their hand, some are killed, but some are still scattered with armament in some corners. In that case, they are ambushing humanitarian assistance. Even they are not condemning this. They only pressurize the government. Like the government, when the humanitarian assistance are going to give humanitarian aid, when they ambush or sometimes they might attack the humanitarian assistance personnel, that's why the government is giving care and that they want to coordinate the movement through the protection of the government. All those areas which are okay for movement, the government will help. When it's not clear for movement, the government cares for those people who are giving assistance or going for humanitarian assistance. But if they are pushing simply without understanding the reality on the ground, it doesn't help. It's better to help the government to manage things in a proper way. Hampering support doesn't help the government to fulfill the humanitarian assistance. If you see, as of today, the Ethiopian government is have reached 4.1 million people of Tigray to get humanitarian aid. And 70% of this support is covered by Ethiopian resource, 30% by the international community and some NGOs. That's why we say we need more support from the government, not a pressure. We need more support from partners, from international community. Pressurizing cannot deliver what we are expecting or what the EU is expecting. So it might end up in frustration unless we help the government, which is suffering and trying to rebuild Tigray, at the same time supplying all this humanitarian, like even before TPLF left, there was about 1.8 million people on humanitarian support because the budget was taken to the TPLF criminal act instead of giving it to the needy. That was what was happening. But the reality is something else, but the pressure is something else. But we try to explain, even when now, after the government allow unfiltered access, they still tell us the government should come to action. I am asking the European Union, the others who are trying to help us, the action is left for them now. When the government allow unfiltered access for humanitarian support, for journalists. Journalists actually, even they were reporting at that active time of operation, even at that time, except those who didn't go for COVID reason or for security reason. They were going, they were reporting. But today, it is free access for journalists, for humanitarian assistance, and also government have called upon investigators to assist Ethiopian Human Rights Commission to identify these claims of human rights abuse, what have you. Every human rights abuse, refugee issues, human rights violation issues to be investigated and be reported to make it more credible. The government have asked free access, free support to come and support the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission to make its investigation credible. In this case, the action is now waiting for the supporters and partners. Now, because even the humanitarian support, we need more support as WFP suggested. Yeah. We need more humanitarian support, humanitarian aid. That's what's expected, not pressure. Actually, that's what I always say.
Before I go to particular countries, but I want to ask you a question. Since you meet with them, and for many Ethiopians, one puzzling question is, what do the Europeans, since you are in Europe, what do you think they will gain by pressuring Ethiopia? Do they think they will bring a solution by pressuring Ethiopia, or do they think they will widen the war, the instability, and also they will increase the migration into Europe, pressuring the Ethiopian government and without any reasons?
Actually, when I talk to the parliamentarians, even the European, some committee chairs of the EU Parliament, I have talked to from Poland, from Czech, from Germany, and very prominent personalities from the European Parliament, which are from Germany and from the countries I cover, and also from the Ministry of Foreign Office of Germany. Or most of them are telling me that they are not pressurizing Ethiopia, but they are concerned. They care for Ethiopia. They say they recognize the importance of Ethiopia. That's why they try to push, to help, to push, so that the government is doing the right thing. But we are telling them we are doing the right thing, and we want support to do the right thing, but not stopping budget. If you stop budget, the government will be weakened to fulfill what's expected. And what they tell us is we are just trying to straighten up and warn the government to come to the right way, to support, to go into its reform and to attain the humanitarian support, to attain the human rights issues. But we now and then explain the government is doing its level best. What we need is support, not pressure. But they are telling it's not a pressure. The pressure is like you care for your child or for your brother, that you tell him do this, do that, to straighten up the way. But we are telling them they have to understand the complex situation which is in our country, so that the government is deserving support, while the government is doing great job with this all difficult condition and very complex condition. But the way they tell us is not to pressurize, not to twist hand, but to encourage. They say the pressure is to encourage.
Yeah, to the credit of the Europeans, they didn't go as far as the United States, but the political support they are giving to the TPLF narrative seems to encourage TPLF to recover from its military defeat. Do Europeans realize that TPLF will never come back? There is no realistic chance for the TPLF to come back to power?
Actually, the Ethiopian people are very much tired of TPLF. I think they recognize nobody will accept anymore. But the condition, sometimes they can be deceived with this fabricated and wrong information, disinformation. Some of them know the truth, but we don't know why they do that. Like, for example, I've been talking to the think tanks who are influential or even advising governments. I've been talking to different high-level people, but some of them are disinformed. Some of them get information from the people they trust, but those people whom they trust can be misinformed. Even if they don't lie, they might be misinformed. That's why we are telling them to go and see, check the truth, find the truth, instead of giving decision based on the disinformation and misinformation, or based on fake news. Because we know the TPLF group have a great digital media campaign against Ethiopia. A lot of films are fabricated, a lot of false information are manufactured every day, and to defame Ethiopia, spoil Ethiopian image. That's what we are telling them. Spoiling Ethiopian image is destroying Ethiopian investment condition, and women and youth are losing their jobs. In turn, this will flood Europe and nearby countries by immigrants, and also a lot of suffering for the society. That's why we are trying to explain why this disinformation, pressurizing will not help to bring the expected result.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back to Germany. Germany is the largest country in Europe and probably the most economically well off. Germany seems to be much more sympathetic to Ethiopia as opposed to the Finlands or the Swedish and the Belgians and things like that. Is that reflected in your conversations? Is Germany much more sympathetic to Ethiopia?
Actually, Germany usually is a long-standing ally and great partner for Ethiopia. But what you like from Germans, be it in all issues, they are always taking balanced stand. They don't simply go with the wave. They take a very matured and balanced stance. Not only Germany, other European countries who really understand and try to stand with the truth are looking things in a very critical way and try to identify false information, the same as German. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank German government and regional governments to support us for COVID, for reform, even especially for reform, and also for humanitarian assistance, and also for our election. And this is what they are trying to be very balanced, not blindly supporting Ethiopia, but not blindly defaming others. They take a balanced stance.
Mm-hmm. I want to raise a question that is, as you said, many European countries have been misinformed, and many Ethiopians, and different reports indicate that the TPLF disinformation campaign is centered around WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom. Is the Ethiopian government aware of this, and are you guys have you guys done investigation to see if there is truth to that or not?
Actually, I myself heard him by television when he speaks that he said that he couldn't reach his family, he couldn't do his job because he's worried, so on and so forth. Actually, in his position, where he is an international post, is for the purpose, not for promoting TPLF. That wouldn't have been done actually, in actual sense. But anyways, further will be investigated for what is mentioned about what he have been doing going around. Will be investigated actually.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to the aid issue. I think many of the countries in Europe have been asking unfettered access to Tigray and also restoration of communication, internet, telephone to Tigray. Now, these two have been already granted by the Ethiopian government, but some governments seem to not know that, or to ignore that and continue to demand this. I mean, can you talk about this? Why do they do that? The Ethiopian government has already said, you can go, you can, and also the Ethiopian telecommunication has a video showing that TPLF destroyed the internet and the telephone infrastructure. Why do the Europeans don't believe their eyes?
Actually, after this unfiltered access is allowed, immediately about 8 journalists, high-level journalists, were in the country. Even the day before, about 30-40 ambassadors went to Tigray and visited, and they have given good comment, and other officials have been there. And also, we are expecting the push of the international community, EU and others, when the unfiltered access is allowed. We are expecting their humanitarian support to flood to Ethiopia, but still they are asking Ethiopia to go into action. We say what is the action expected from Ethiopia. I myself was asking the officials what action is expected from Ethiopian government from now onwards. Even the journalists and others are not even asking permission now. They only inform and go from now onwards, and all are allowed without any hindrance. Then they say the government should go into action. I am asking what action are you expecting from Ethiopian government? Now the action is waiting for the supporters, for our partners, for EU to take action to make Ethiopian government fulfill its responsibility of addressing the humanitarian support and also rebuilding Tigray and also preparing for the election and bringing these fugitives to justice. The remnants should come, otherwise still they are in different corners. They are the one who ambush humanitarian aid and destroy again. Last time, currently they destroy high electric station, and they are not condemned actually. It's again requested on the side of Ethiopian government. Some of them may not understand, like to build some station for Europe who are well developed in technology and finance, it might take short time. But for Ethiopia, with this meager resource, with limited technological capacity, it's not easy to build it overnight. And they should understand that we are trying to explain. But some of them might turn their ear on. In Ethiopia, there is a saying, if a person is deliberately sleeping, you cannot wake up. Even if you wake him up, he pretend to be sleeping. If some are pretending like that, we can't help it. But genuinely speaking, we believe those people who are really looking for genuine humanitarian support and understand genuine effort of the government and help the government to go into the reform position and also help the country to be saved, not only saving Ethiopia, saving the region and the whole. I think it's time to help the government. That's what we understand. But those who blindly try to support TPLF, which is dying TPLF, it's not helping, but it is simply wasting time and not shortening the time to give the support to the needy. That's what we understand.
Mm-hmm. So, as you said, at least at the beginning of the conflict, the Ethiopian narrative was not getting a fair hearing in the European capitals. So many Ethiopians, including myself, have been saying that our foreign service, the Ethiopian Foreign Ministry, and the diplomats have been less than efficient in explaining Ethiopia's position to the international world. So would you like to comment on that?
All right, I'll comment on that actually. I can say because we have these directives or have all the information on time from the government, and we always try to brief our government. Not only we, even the information, the journalist was reporting from Tigray at that time, even the major operation time, not only today. And we have been trying to explain to foreign offices, parliamentarians, think tanks which are advising the government, and also to journalists. Actually, most of the journalists are not interested, but we try to tell us what's going on. But mostly, as you know, bad news capture ear. As a journalist, you know, mostly the journalists try to print or talk about fake news or wrong news. They may not know that's fake, but they think it's true, and they try to disseminate. What we have seen last time is even the university professors, which we expect to recheck and counter-check, were simply disseminating a fabricated news which was sent by fake social media or digital media. But that's what's happening today. The fake news, disinformation, and this digital campaign of false news is damaging the world. Not only Ethiopia's case, it's really becoming a challenge for the whole world. But the worst case scenario is the Ethiopian scenario, where the TPLF has a digital big group, even from long ago, and they can fabricate anything, and they can make you trust your own eyes. You cannot trust your own eyes because what you see looks like very true. That's a challenging condition for many people. But today, currently, we have been trying to, our diaspora was working hard to show the Ethiopian truth to the world and to the others. That's where the conditions are getting better and people are trying to understand. Some people innocently trust what they see and get saddened with the reality, they think it's a reality, but it's not a reality. And the Ethiopian diplomats, if I take myself, I have been talking to even in Europe. What I like is when we ask, in my capacity, when I ask the parliamentarians, not only the German parliamentarians, the parliamentarians which are sitting in the European Parliament, which are chairing different committees, they were very humble. They were very honest. They were very nice people to give me appointment, to talk to me by webinar. Some of them even came personally. They talked to me in person. They gave me a chance. Even next week, they have given me a chance to talk to about 10 parliamentarians through webinar. I have another 2-3 appointments coming up. And they were so kind to me, like I believe they are kind to most of our diplomats, ambassadors, and we have been informing them. But I can see the disinformation of TPLF is not only triple, it can be 100%, 300% fold of what we are doing. That can, like, if the false information is going around 10,000 times and we are talking 1,000 times, you can understand how the 10,000 times communicated can capture the ear of other people. Even in the Google, when you try to Google, which is seen 10,000 times, will always pop up, and our 1,000 times may not come up. That can also disinform people. That's why. Otherwise, it's not because I don't mean we are all perfect. We hope, like any other diplomat in the world, be it European diplomat or what, we have our strengths and weaknesses or areas of improvement, but it's not that much bad. That is not very difficult to tell the world the truth of Ethiopia. It's a very next truth to tell, and we are not ashamed of to tell the truth, and we are bold to tell our realities. But if you are sleeping deliberately, it's very difficult for me. Even if I put ice water on you or a bucket of ice water on your face or on your body, you may not wake up. That is a problem we are facing in some cases, but in most of the cases, currently, some people are trying to team up. What I see is sometimes Europe, USA, UN, what have you, are teaming up. That's sometimes we say, why not you see the reality on the ground and decide by yourselves? Okay, teaming up is okay, but sometimes it's not good because everybody have to have its own mind and its own understanding to see the Ethiopian reality. And now I think it's high time that they see the reality and understand our problem.
Yeah, I want to first say thank you for all the diplomats. My question is not centered on individuals, even though there are individual ambassadors that were holdovers from the TPLF regime. And I think those people basically do not have the culture or the necessary qualification to be ambassadors. I leave that alone. But I think what I'm raising is not individual ambassadors, but it's what you said. The Ethiopian foreign ministry, including the prime minister's office, seem to be reactive. They always are coming after an action is made rather than provide information proactively, both to the Ethiopian community, to the diaspora, to the media, and to the international community. They always respond once an accusation is made. So it's not blaming anybody, but given that we came from revolutionary democracy, we are reactive. That's what I'm saying. I will give you.
Actually, I thank you for raising this issue, because most of the time we forget that we are in the reform process. Because when you are in the reform process, we didn't go under revolution. When it's a revolution, you destroy everything. The policy of Maddamer is to keep good things and also avoid bad things from the past, and also maintain the good legacies. But in this case, what the government is going on now is through reform, you cannot change everything overnight because of our capacity. Don't forget we are under process. Even Germany, you can see after the war, they must have faced the same problem we are facing now, to bring democracy, to bring efficiency in communication, to bring challenges and handling international issues, local issues, informations efficiently. We are under such a process. It's only 3 years. Again, the 2.5 years is throughout. The government was on fire. We're not working. It's even, I appreciate our government. It's not because I'm an ambassador, but so many people are appreciating. While the government was challenged with TPLF violence and conflict throughout the country, having all these challenges, the government was doing some entrepreneurship development for youth unemployment, employing 3 million, and also bringing such incredible projects of development, tourism, and in Addis Ababa and other places, and finishing great Renaissance Dam to come. It's to fill the first filling, which was delayed for 10 years unnecessary, and also working on the sugar factories and other big mega projects which were pending forever in the last regime, and this should be appreciated. This is an incredible work that you cannot believe that can be done with this short time, having all this fire on your side and firefighting condition every day. But the truth is, we all wish if the Prime Minister office, if the Ministry of Foreign Office have efficient and day-to-day and every minute supply of information. But sometimes we might say we are reluctant. We think that our truth speak. But this time is not truth speak. This time even the false information can fastly go than your truth, and people can be misunderstand the country. And we are working on this to improve based on your concern and our concern. I'm sure in the short term we'll improve on this issue, but we cannot reach this in billions fabricated group sitting working on defaming the country because they have a lot of money which they smuggled from the country. But Ethiopia may not afford that today. But we still, thanks to our diaspora and other youth who are trying to voluntarily working and trying to tell the Ethiopian truth to the world.
Okay, before I move away from the conflict in Tigray, is there something you want to say I did not raise, or you have said everything about the conflict in Tigray?
Actually, I just want to mention those most of the people raise about human rights abuse and also conflicts in the church, so on and so forth. I just want to make clear that the world should know it's under investigation. The issue of many issues are raised about human rights abuse, and this will be investigated, and anybody who has done any human rights violation will be brought to justice, whether it is from Ethiopian Defense Forces or from TPLF, or whoever has done the human rights abuse will be taken to justice, and the Ethiopian government takes this seriously. That I want to express this so that people know that it's not left simply.
Okay. I want to touch on a couple of things before we finish. One is, as the international community knows, Sudan has basically invaded and captured Ethiopian territory. Why are the Europeans not demanding Sudan withdraw from Ethiopian territories? Have you talked to the countries you talk to, and what do they say?
Actually, they are trying to communicate to Sudan, communicate to Ethiopian government, to all of us at different conditions, so that to de-escalate the condition also. And the Ethiopian government has expressed its wish and its willingness that things should be finished according to be handled peacefully. But Sudan should go back to its position of before December, as it was before December 6. Otherwise, I mean before November 6. Otherwise, the discussion cannot take place. And we know it's Sudan who have made aggression, and they have occupied Ethiopian space. It's against the law and against the international and the United Nations law. That should be taken care of. And the Ethiopian government has shown its position, so that they have to go back to their place, and we sit down, and according to Ethiopian government, that the facilitation of AU is accepted, and we go in that way in a peaceful condition. This war is not Sudanese war, but Sudanese and Ethiopian used to be a very friendly country, and Ethiopia has always been there for Sudan's problem, solving Sudan problem. Even at that time of crisis, it's only Ethiopia who was by the side of Sudan, who really worked hard to bring them to peace. And we honor and treasure our friendship and our brotherly and sisterlyhood, which have been there for centuries, and this should continue. Otherwise, Ethiopia have the right to fix its territory accordingly, because it is Sudan who went to the sovereign country and aggressively. It's their aggression which went to Ethiopian land, but we believe this will be handled accordingly in a peaceful condition. Also, before you finish about the general condition of the Ethiopian situation, I want to really stress that the world and all our partners should know Ethiopia is really a pillar for peace and stability of the region, not only the Horn, but the whole bigger part of Africa. And Ethiopia is always supporting the international peace, contributing large number of troops. And as you know, the Ethiopian government led by Dr. Abiy Ahmed have been doing a great job going around and creating peace for the Horn, and also make peace between Eritrea and Ethiopia, which he gets a Nobel Peace Prize, which he deserved it well. And even today, working for the peace of the region, and it should be supported in such a way. Otherwise, not supporting Ethiopia and just leaving it to be stabilized, Ethiopia with 110 million population, is really an anchor, and it deserves support, so that otherwise, if things go wrong, I know the region, the Horn, will be a hotspot for terrorism. That's why the international community and our partners should support the Ethiopian government first to help Tigray and the humanitarian support needy in Tigray, and also rebuild Tigray, and also continue with this reform and handling the democratic and free and democratic election, which is credible one, and we want it to be exemplary. That's where we want to support and help the government to attain its level best, so that the country will be stable, to help the region to be stable. That's what I want to take forward. Regarding GERD and Sudan, the Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, we believe this transboundary water, it's our resource. Ethiopia contributes 86% of the water, and Ethiopia has the right to use its resource. We are not intending to make any significant harm to downstream. And the dam is a very environment friendly, according to scientific explanation done last time. And not only that, it's not a luxury for us to do this, to build this dam. We want to take our largely growing population out of poverty. And you know, so Egypt is 98% connected to electricity. 65 million people of Ethiopians are living in dark. Again, because we use biomass for fire, for energy, it destroys the environment, it causes human and animal life. Because of this erratic rain and drought, 8 million people every year depend on humanitarian aid. And that's why we want to take our people out of poverty and make our industrial parks to have electricity, people to have light. That's where the people should understand and advise Egypt to revisit its policy, to make its policy according to African realities, instead of being fixed on colonial treaty, which Ethiopia is not a party at all. That's what we want to advise. Yeah, otherwise, even this GERD, we want to make it a win-win and have a peaceful conversation and negotiation.
I'm glad you went there. I was going to ask a couple of questions, but I want to
I thought you were to conclude.
No, I was going to ask a couple of questions about the GERD. I think one question I want to ask is the recent EU Council communique indicated that if asked, they will participate as in the mediation group. Egypt and Sudan have asked that the United States, the United Nations, and the European Union should be part of the the negotiating team. And my understanding is Ethiopia does not want to include, given what happened about a year and a half ago in the United States. Ethiopia wants the negotiation to be between the three parties and AU. Is there any change by the Ethiopian government regarding this?
Actually, so far, if some people tell, I believe the government still is working, it's already handled by the African Union, and that is going well. And I don't think that has a problem with finishing with the African Union, because they are still working on it. But it is only Ethiopia who has been negotiating with downstream people. Like if you see on Nile Basin, there are about 33 dams have been done, but no one has consulted the downstream at all. But Ethiopia was very reasonable and considerate that Ethiopia want to make sure that Sudan and Egypt to understand Ethiopia well, that this dam is in favor of Sudan and Egypt. That's why Ethiopia from day one engaged them, and we have this DOP, Declaration of Principle, which is signed with Egypt and Sudan. And our negotiation is according to that DOP. The negotiation is between three of us. And if there is misunderstanding or any serious issue is coming in, it goes to the leaders of the country, not anybody else. That principle is abiding and it's still intact. That's how we try to handle the Great Renaissance Dam negotiation.
And the other question I want to ask about the GERD is, as we know, the second filling will happen. I mean, there is no way, from what I understanding, to stop it once the rainy season comes June, July. Do the Europeans realize that there is going to be a second filling if we go at this pace? If Egypt and Sudan refuse to recognize Ethiopia's right, that the second filling will happen in June and July, and Ethiopia is determined to fill the dam? Do the Europeans know this?
Yes, they know, because Ethiopia has the right to use its water, and Ethiopia do not ask anybody's permission to use its water. Even the others used when they build the dam, when they fill the dam, they haven't asked anybody's permission, anybody's approval. And Ethiopia, with its own resource, having the 86% contribution and using 0% up to now, and we are trying to use according to international practice, where we are very fair, and we want to use our proper equitable share without causing any significant harm to the downstream. And we know this Nile water is more than enough, not only for Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan. It can support more than 450 million people, even more than that. And we know the water is more than enough for three of us, and it has no problem even it's a beneficial one for Sudan and Egypt. They know it well, and the cause might be something else, not the reality of the dam. And we have the right to fill, and we don't have to ask anybody's permission to use our own resource. And we have been saying this time and again. We have been explaining to the governments of where we represent. We have been telling to the officials and all of them, because of courtesy and understanding, and people should understand the situation of Ethiopia. And everybody have been using their water properly, and there's no double standard to stop Ethiopia to use its own water.
Last question I want to ask is about what you call diaspora diplomacy. So first I want to thank you for recognizing what the diaspora is doing or contributing to Ethiopia. It should be recognized that the diaspora was against TPLF for the last 27 years. But once Dr. Abiy came to the scene, the diaspora has been contributing in every facet of life in Ethiopia. So I'm glad, and I thank you for recognizing that. but are embassies doing a coordinated work to use the political, the skills, the knowledge base of the diaspora in the various countries? I think we see here and there some effort, but there is no coordinated, well-organized effort, even though there is a diaspora organization or, I don't know, directorate in Addis. We have never heard about from them, and they never organize, as far as I know. I know the people who do the Twitter campaign and all that. They never connect with the diaspora and do use them or collaborate with them to advance Ethiopia's interests. Can you say something about this?
Yeah, actually, I just want to make a point that the current situation is different from that you have been doing for the last 27 years, because this reformist government has really given big attention and consideration for the Ethiopian diaspora. But I like the name Ethiopian community, but we say diaspora, it's okay because it's already taken as diaspora. We use the word because people understand it that way. Instead of saying Ethiopians and or Ethiopian origins, so on and so forth. This is given a big priority. That's why the government established the diaspora agency to give big attention to diaspora. And this is where the diaspora is given a chance, not only to ask diasporas to make some contribution or do that, do this, but we want the diaspora to benefit in its own country. Previously, the diaspora was not allowed to buy bank shares, but now it's allowed the diaspora to own property in Ethiopia and do their own homes or what have you. And they have a lot of benefits now. It's a big list. We have put it on our website, not to waste your time. Otherwise, it's a big list. We want them to be a better person for themselves, for the country they live in, for Ethiopia also, either to go into business or NGO or improve their personalities, their lives, and also contribute for their country and for the world. To be a good person for themselves, for their country, the country they live in, and for the world also. That's why we are engaging. If you see, if I give you my own example, previously it was when the TPLF came or the other government came, when the Derg regime came, one diaspora came, the other one did not come. As you said, you are throughout 30. When I introduced myself to the diaspora that time, some of them meet in my residence after 30, 35 years. They haven't seen each other, they were quarreling. But we said, let us have different opinion, but let us gather, let us work together, and let us move forward. And we have started creating diaspora council, where whether I go or whether any ambassador left or come in, they continuously work. It is started, but the COVID has been an obstacle for us, but we have been working every week with the diaspora engagement from different regions, sometimes together, to have this diaspora council to continue, so that this council will have all chances of economy, political, what have you, to make it short. Then whether I am there or not, whether the ambassador is good or bad, this will continue, and they will benefit, and they will benefit their countries, they will benefit for themselves. Also, they do great for the countries they live in, because they should be good citizens or good residents in any country they live, so that they are considered as a valuable human beings. They shouldn't spoil their life without doing anything. That's what we are working on, so that we identify their talents and they go to any different committees and improve their lives. And this is structured in my case. In our case, there is a structure done even at the top level in the Ministry of Foreign Office. So the agency is reporting to the Ministry of Foreign Office of Ethiopia, so that they are working. But you see, because you expect everything to be perfect in 2 years or 3 years, I know your passion. That's good to see. And otherwise, we could, according to our push, myself was thinking to finish everything within a year. But unfortunately, 1 year is finished with COVID. We didn't sleep with COVID. We are working through webinar. We are working in so many ways so that this thing continue. To tell you, the diaspora helped us for COVID, for defense, and for the victims of this law enforcement operation, for also Gabata Al-Hagar, development projects, and also for reform, for a lot of issues. They are for Ethiopia Renaissance Dam. They are selflessly supporting. Some people leave 3 dinners, 4 dinners, and help. And I really see great passion in the diaspora. I'm happy and proud. I also, before you close, I want to thank the German government for all their support in the European Parliament to improve their condition. I'm sure next time they will waive this statement totally. And secondly, I want to thank the Ethiopian diaspora in Czech Republic, Germany, Poland, Ukraine, and Slovak Republic, all the professionals, all of them, Ethiopians, Ethiopian origin and Ethiopian friends. And also I thank you, Isat, and yourself for interviewing me and trying to communicate to me with this issue before you close. Because I see you are watching your time. You're seeing your time.
No, I think we have more than now have other points to make. You are welcome to Ambassador.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we continue.
I guess the question I will say in terms of the diaspora is, as you said, the diaspora is willing to contribute, and since Dr. Abiy came to power, there is more collaboration. But I feel like from the different diaspora groups I talk to, there is more to be done. And as I said, there is a diaspora directorate, if I remember the name of it. There hasn't been a lot of effort, but we can improve it. I guess what I would like to say, to ask you a question is, I don't know if you can answer this, but most of the people that are currently reaching moral conclusions are white people. I'm sorry to use that word, but most of the governments, most of the human rights organizations, most of the NGOs, whether it is CSIS or the Atlantic Council or Brookings or the European councils, they are these white people. And there is a flavor to their criticism that they care about Tagaru lives, they care about Ethiopian lives more than Ethiopians. That sort of surprises me. Do you sense that?
Actually, we have been explaining the same when initially when they say about the Tigray people, and we were explaining to them the Ethiopian government have responsibility more than anybody else to safeguard its people, to care for its people, and to ask support for its people, because Tigray people are Ethiopians. We explained that TPLF is not Tigray, is not Tigray, and the TPLF are not the same. We say people have the right because they are innocent people, they are not criminals, they are not anything, they are like any other people. Actually in Ethiopia, whether it is Tigrayan or anybody who make a criminal act will be charged, but those who are innocent, those who are civilians and peacefully living in the day-to-day life are supported equally. And when it comes to caring for Tigrayans, we have been explaining about the issues some of them raise, that they care for Tigrayans. We tell them, if you care for the criminals, it's another issue that we have to confront you. But if you care for the people who are the Tigrayan people, we also care for the people because they are brothers, our brothers and sisters. We are intermarried, we are part of them, and they are part of us. They are Ethiopian people. Ethiopia is a diverse country with different nations, nationalities, and ethnic group or religious group. Therefore, don't think we are a different people. We explain. Explaining to them if they are mistaken, but some of them are not mistaken. But some of them might misunderstand because of the disinformation flooded every day. Otherwise, actually, some people, personnel might misunderstand things. But as an institution, I didn't see such, as an institution, be it UN or any humanitarian or NGOs, others, as an institution, I didn't see such a type of misunderstanding. But some personnel might do mistakes, like we have seen in the humanitarian assistance last time. You remember, they apologized later on. that could happen. But as institution, be it UN, EU, or humanitarian or think tank or NGOs you mentioned, we didn't see such reflection. We didn't sense this reflection of being white or what, but we see when they raise the care, it's because of the humanitarian request. We say our government, our people, we as people, our government as Ethiopian care more than you do, and we explain to them that truth.
I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we will talk on another program pretty soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But finally, I want Ethiopians, Ethiopian origin, and Ethiopian friends to team up, and also the international community to understand the Ethiopian truth and try to come and see the reality and support the government to come out of such a crisis, and women and children live a better life, and our reform to go in a better way, and our election become credible and democratic ever. I want all of them to come and support us and see the government's effort, not judging us with disinformation, misinformation, and we still request them to recheck the information. Thank you so much for inviting me. Stay blessed.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. That has been our program with Her Excellency Ambassador Mulu Solomon. Until next time, bye-bye.